ZIZ Radio. Hosted by the Ministry of Health, the Health Link keeps you informed on what's happening within the ministry while delivering the health tips and advice you need to live your best life. This is more than a radio show. It's your link to a healthier St. Kitts and Nevis. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, the Health Link, because a healthier nation starts with you.
You know that health is wealth and ital is vital. They're not just some rhyming words. It's something that's just got to be heard. Who is responsible for your health? Look in the mirror, it's your very own self. You can't rely on nobody else. Health is wealth, ital is vital. Try and take care of yourself. Health is wealth, ital is vital. You can't rely on nobody else. Health is wealth, ital is vital. Try and take care of yourself. Health is wealth, ital is vital. You can't rely on nobody else. Tracking with the herb at the field for the healing of the nation.
And the time in the studios of ZIZ Radio is just about 34 minutes down after the hour of 1 o'clock. And we now join another edition of the Health Link. Everything is connected. Your health is the link. And I present to you the lovely Siobhan. Good afternoon.
Ronnie, and good afternoon to everyone out there in Radio Land and Facebook Live Land. Welcome to another episode of the Health Link. Everything is connected. Your health is the link. Today we have an interesting show for you guys. We have back with us today Dr. Patrick Martin, former CMO.
Good afternoon.
Yes. But joining us today, we have two persons from the Bureau of Standards, and they are going to be giving us some information on food label regulation and why it's important. So we have Mr. Sheldon Rollins, who is the HACCP coordinator, and we also have Ms. Clelia Davis, who is head of food safety and R&D food safety analyst. Oh God, what's going on with me today? So we have these two extra persons here in studio with us. And Dr. Martin, remember the last show we did together? We were talking about the effects of what we eat, our lifestyle, everything on health, and the fact that we are experiencing on average 12 strokes per month in St. Kitts Nevis. Well, we thought it would be even more important to extend the conversation and show persons just how you can mitigate some of the risks. And one way is by having proper information. And so in having these two wonderful persons in here today, they're going to educate us on food labels. It's not just that the people want to be writing up and decorating the packaging. Everything on the packaging when you're buying food especially is valid and is very important. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We're going to start with Mr. Rollins.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Sheldon Rollins. I'm HACCP coordinator at the St. Kitts Nevis Bureau of Standards.
And what is HACCP?
HACCP is an acronym for Hazard Analysis of Critical Control Points, which is a system that was developed to produce safe foods for the astronauts traveling into space, right? It actually was, the system was developed by the Pillsbury Company.
Oh, wow. Pillsbury and space. Interesting link. And you are?
Sure. Good afternoon to your listening and viewing audience. My name is Clelia Davis. I'm the head of food safety and R&D research and development, and I'm also the food safety analyst. So my job spans from the more technical aspect of food safety as it relates to trade, and also essentially helping the other compliance labs with more higher level technicality and laboratory stuff, things like that.
Wonderful. And so, Dr. Martin, I know you recently, can I share? You recently let me know that you're now embarking on a different diet. You're gluten-free now. You've joined the gluten-free camp.
The first three letters in diet are DIE.
Oh my God. So, how important would you say, or is it even more important now to be able to read food labels?
Well, let's put it this way. All roads lead to the hospital if you're not eating healthy.
True.
Or doctor's office. Right?
Yes.
And for some, unfortunately, but in a minority of cases, the roads lead to the intensive care unit. Right? And since we spoke last, there's a cyclospora outbreak in the United States. That's a parasite, linked to
explosive
diarrhea. I heard lettuce, and so some fast food outlets have been removing lettuce from their menu. And I was just in the United States last week, so I saw that.
Lucky
I saw
you.
that. So
Wow.
You escaped that.
well, when I was ordering lettuce-free ital. So the sayings are: food is medicine, medicine is food. You are what you eat. All that is needed has already been created by God. And the last one is caveat emptor: buyer beware. The assumption is that the consumer can read.
The assumption. Yes.
Because we have to say it, all that glitters is not gold. All that is sold as food, well, manufactured and sent here as food, is not in our best interest. And so we have Bureau of Standards, Ministry of Health. I'm really happy that we have had the Bureau of Standards since 1999 because they bring some heavy lifting to the table in terms of a chemical analysis, getting down into what exactly is causing this person to have these symptoms. They have some fantastic lab capacities. But we want to do prevention, right?
Yes.
Because prevention is better and cheaper than cure. And so it's good to have them here. And I'll keep quiet for as long as possible.
Okay, so perhaps we should start with what is a food label? Who can help me with that? For the average person, in as simple terms as possible, what is a food label or the purpose of a label on your food?
Okay, so a food label is anything that is posted on the product or item that is going to explain what is in the food, the batch number, the expiration date. It has a host of different types of information, which, if you permit me, I would make sure that I itemize them. So we want to be able to know what is in it, what is the contents of the food that it is in question. So we have things like the net contents, where it is manufactured or the country of origin. And just a plug, we don't just say St. Kitts alone or Nevis alone. We say product of St. Kitts and Nevis, the manufacturer and our expiry date, the contact information of the persons who are manufacturing said product, the actual name of the product, what it is, the ingredients, the directions for use, and as I mentioned, the batch number. So all of these things are extremely important, and it's from the entire value chain, from when the food is being manufactured to when it's in the tummies of the person, because we have the adage of from farm to fork in the agricultural world, but I like to say from farm to belly, because there are a lot of different implications and the outcomes of things that could happen in terms of, Doctor just mentioned the parasite that is now happening. So we would want to know specifically from which restaurant or which supermarket this specific batch of lettuce would have come from, at what time, when was it manufactured. So in terms of auditing processes, we're able to detect and narrow down where that would have been, and if it's a more local outbreak, or if it's something a little bit more widespread, you have the necessary information to intervene as efficiently as possible. So these are just some of the reasons why food labeling in its entirety, not just a little bit here and there, but in its entirety, is extremely important.
Now, what about local products? Because usually when we think about food labels, we see them coming in from overseas and they have everything on them. But what about the local products? If I go and I buy a sugar cake, it usually has the tiniest little label that I can barely read that says somebody granny made it. And I know what sugar cake is. But what about like local products? What are the measures being put in place, or have you put anything in place for those?
Yes, so we have the labeling regulation that has been on the book since 2023.
23.
And it does not discriminate in terms of imported goods versus locally manufactured goods. So I really want to make that abundantly clear to all of our local agro-processors. It is for everyone, because I assume that you would want everyone to be consumers of your products. And so, yes, there is a regulation that itemizes everything that I would have just mentioned in terms of what should be on the label. And it is on our website, the sknbs.org, for your reference. I have a little cue card here. I don't know if the camera could pick it up, but just in case, you can always visit our website for the information as it relates to the prepackaged goods, labeling for prepackaged goods.
Okay, wonderful. So what's coming up here is that it's not just about how much salt, how much sugar is in a food, but the actual safety of the food at that time while you're consuming it. As we've spoken about the explosive diarrhea. I've been afraid to have lettuce. I craving a salad for like weeks, and every time I see them I'm like, okay, I need to plant some.
The local lettuce is not watered with brown
water.
Brown water means that it comes out of the toilet. Okay, we don't
recycled water.
We don't water our lettuce with water that comes out of the toilet.
Oh.
It's a family program. I would have used another term, but I can't use it here. Feces is okay? Feces water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would have said tutu, but I can't use tutu.
Well, I think
It's understandable. It's understandable. But before you move on from the local, I think I would like her to address the local drinks, because there are persons who normally you do a restaurant type thing, sideline thing, and you automatically introduces these different drinks in the bottles. How do you guys work around something like that?
Well, that would be prepackaged as well, and so that should have the label as well, especially in terms of the sugar content, what is involved in terms of water to, let's say for instance, you use lemonade, passion fruit, etc. So I would have mentioned the ingredients and the net content, the amount that's in the bottle or jar, whatever. These things are supposed to be there, but in reference to the ingredients, at present, the Bureau doesn't have the capacity for nutritional fact analysis and therefore the labels for that. So that is not currently enforced. But as soon as we are able to have that capacity, trust and believe, I will make sure that that is enforced, because it's very important. And sometimes I could give a quick example. When I was living in Taiwan, we used to have juices, because they're very big on teas and juices, and they would have no sugar added, 30, 50, 70% sugar. And so you, as the consumer, had the choice to choose how you would have liked your content made up. I don't know if that is something that our local processors here would want to implement to give choice to the consumer. It's just a suggestion. But that in itself would have to be itemized on the label as well.
Okay, because I think, as Siobhan just said a while ago, it's not about the amount of salt and sugar, but mostly the safety and you have people just making drinks like that, and nobody knows
What's
in it. I also have a situation where people are complaining about the coconut water that you're buying. Folks are stretching it with local water just
Sugar
to
water.
fill the bottle, and sometimes sugar water or glucose. And so these are things I think that the Bureau should really look into, because as you say, safety to me is more important than how much sugar and salt is in it.
That's correct. That's correct.
And if you add sugar water to, say, a coconut water, and a diabetic goes and they drink it, assuming it's coconut water, it could really affect them as well.
Yeah. I think there was an incident like that at the JNF.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to speak to Mr. Rollins now, because he said he's the HACCP person, right? So one of the things that we are going to see happening in St. Kitts as we progress, especially with agriculture focusing now on, locally produced food and what's not, is hopefully more food manufacturing, not just in the homes, not just, your home and you do a little thing, but having it grow to the point where we have more local products or bigger brands. And so how would that affect us, or how do we utilize HACCP in this way? Because I think sometimes we look at products, like for instance, we do breadfruit fries, and we went to KFC because they have breadfruit fries in, I think it's St. Vincent has KFC, has breadfruit fries. And one of the things they said to us is that we would have to have the facility that they're being produced in certified with something similar or the equivalent of like a HACCP. So could you give us a little bit on that?
Okay. So HACCP, just let me give you what HACCP really is. It is a system that you put in place, right? Before HACCP, there was quality control. Now, quality control, quality assurance is after the fact. HACCP now is where you design your whole production system based on safety features along the food chain. Let's say, for example, let's use the lettuce, right? Let's use the lettuce. Now, you're doing the lettuce, right? That's farming. That comes under something you call good agricultural practices, which the farm should be practicing good agricultural practices, which means that we're gonna farm a certain way. We're gonna apply fertilizer. We're gonna apply pesticides, whatever they're doing in the practices. But it must be a documented process that provides traceability. So it's things like documenting the type of fertilizer you use, the batch number of fertilizer you use, how much you use, and the same thing with the pesticides, and who did it and what did, and so forth and so forth, up until harvesting. What you did when you harvested, what containers you put it in, and stuff like that. How you treat it after you harvested it, right? So let's say the lettuce, they wash them, and the protocol, one of the safety protocol, because lettuce is a raw food, is to treat the lettuce with, let's say, hydrogen peroxide, right? So they have to say how much the concentration of peroxide that they used on it, right? And what does that control? Whether it would control the parasite, if it only controls bacteria. You understand?
I understand. So it's like in public health, because I know after COVID, Dr. Martin, I attended some meetings with the present CMO, and it had to do with tracing zoonotic. That's the correct term, right? Okay. Yes. Tracing zoonotic diseases. These are diseases that cross over from animal to human. And one of the things that came up was the mad cow disease. And it's not actually a bacteria or anything. I think they said it's like a protein. But when that discussion came up, it was, attracting a lot of attention. And what they explained is that we actually have a full system here that safeguards us from having these things come in. And they have, just like how we prepare for hurricanes, you know, in the public health system and stuff, they're preparing for these things, and they have, as you said, traceability. They have certain steps that they take to ensure that we are not knocked down by these particular outbreaks.
Right.
And that adds to the One Health approach. I think
Yes,
that the
One Health,
Ministry
that's what it
of
is.
Health
Yes.
would have adapted.
Yes.
So
Well, infectious agents jump species from animal to human, and the vets will say from human back to animal, and they're correct.
yeah.
Because human beings have some very curious practices, you know. Some people don't prepare their meats properly, eat them raw, wild meat. The wilder you are, the more likely you are to be in contact with something exotic.
So
And
we're
it's
going
going
to
to
call
jump
it.
species. That is the Ebola question. So go ahead.
No. I saw something about this whipworm with the monkey.
So if that jumps to a human being, means that a human interacted with that vervet in an improper way.
Boy.
Oh, wow. You know, someone said to me years ago that there's a reason why they don't allow the monkeys to go back into the populations, the ones that they bring out for pictures and stuff. And they had mentioned that it's for more the safety of the monkeys, not having them pick up any infections from the visitors and then taking it back. So now you're telling me that the opposite happened?
Yes, and so this is the reason why Ms. Davis spoke about the One Health. You know, we in medicine, you know, we became very arrogant, you know, thinking that we had the wherewithal. Well, I was trained in the Western mold. I got a wake-up call with H1N1. Had to relate to the veterinary services quite closely. And that's I wasn't taught this in medical school. That's not a criticism. That's a reality. And so we, Ministry of Health, cannot do this alone. We need Bureau of Standards. We need VET, RUS. We need RUS University, and we need our relationships with regional and international organizations, because stuff crosses the border.
Most
And
definitely.
most of it is affordable because it is produced, well, sometimes with some exploited labor, often with exploited labor, and with chemicals. You can go into any high school, CFBC, Bureau of Standards lab and concoct anything that smells like food and drink. You could probably use AI. All right.
For sure.
So-
Just tell you what you have.
So the point I'm trying to raise here is that yes, we have our work to do as government agencies, but the biggest work is to inform people so they know what to look at, and in the final analysis, it's your wallet and the product.
And your
You choose what
choice.
you want.
Your choice.
And there are persons who know how to extract things from our wallets. It's called marketing.
Right.
One of the things I want to bring to the general public's attention as well is, as you said, it's your choice. A lot of times we eat from culture, from memory. You know, our mother ate this, our grandmother ate that. And so we go up with a certain set of products that we've adapted, like family members, you know, the carnation milk and
Canned foods.
certain things. But we have to realize that a lot of brands have been bought and sold. A lot of collaboration is happening. And sometimes you might be used to the milk that's produced, say, in Denmark, but then you didn't read, and this is where you have to continuously read your labels. Even if you're accustomed to this product, you still have to read the labels, because you might now be getting one that's produced, say, in America or another Caribbean island, and there are definitely differences, especially for me who have, I have food allergies and stuff. I tend to go more for products that are produced in the UK and certain
And EU.
countries because they're more stricter with certain ingredients and so
Correct.
forth.
And even with the emergence of lab-grown meat, now
Oh.
persons need to be aware of that because in some territories the labeling is very vague.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of information, it needs to be a two-way street
Yes.
and a consistent two-way street in terms of the technocrats and the experts relaying the information as it emerges, and also the public being very open. Because yes, you just mentioned culture and it's like, well, I accustomed to drink Carnation milk and what they're telling me about, but then again, it's up to you, it's your choice, but our goal and our mission is to ensure that you have the most updated information as it arrives.
And Campbell's,
As-
what they call it, alphabet soup or chicken soup, just admitted to using lab-grown chicken.
Yep.
So if you've been out there, as we just say locally, banging your Campbell's soup, you've most likely been introduced to lab-grown meat.
Chicken. Yes, there's a lot of things going on out there. So, the manufacturers, that they are informed, but us as consumers, we need to get informed as well, right? They are informed. They know what they need to do to meet certain market standards. So they're going to do that, and they know which markets standards are not up to there. So they could
Get a
move.
flag.
Yeah, they could. Let's say let's Grace in Jamaica and our craft in the US. They know they can't use such in the US, but they know that Grace Jamaica ain't got no regulations or banning that stuff. So you know what? This stuff here is cheaper than that stuff. So hey, let's move the thing to let's let Grace do this for us down here and let Grace supply the Caribbean belt with that and production cheaper. So we might get MSG and they get CSAT. Right?
And it's really about
So
information.
they know the information. The manufacturers know the information, right? But we as consumers need to know the information and why.
Yes.
Correct. Why
And we
the
need to
why is
empower
important.
ourselves, as you said, because demand drives every market. And so if we are informed, if we care about our health and we become informed and we demand different products, then we'll get different products. But we have to first care enough to go after the information.
Right.
While you were talking, I was on my phone, on my library. The global food market is valued at $10 trillion.
Yes.
A trillion means 12 zeros. So this is profit driven. People are not producing foods externally because they love us.
No.
It's because they can make some money. I think our food import bill up to 2022 was 200 million. Right? So it is important to reiterate to our peoples that why do they put things in things? It's because they make money from it.
Yes. And you have power. What the demand drives the market again. So for instance, when you go to Rams, right? Like I'll give an example for me. When I go to a supermarket, let's use Rams, I will choose a Waitrose product over, say, a Kraft or a Kellogg's or something like that. Because as I said before, you have to educate yourself not just on the ingredients, because sometimes, as you said, it's vague and it's deceptive. You might have maltodextrin and you don't know what it
What
is.
those chemical names are.
Yeah.
And it takes a really big person all the time to say, okay, well, I'm going to tabulate what these things are. I'm going to look up what they are and the impact on the body. Quite frankly, the average person doesn't either have the time, the interest, or again, the time to do that, right? But notwithstanding, you want to maintain your health integrity. And so in this climate, in our global climate, It's just the hard thing that we have to do, because that prevention definitely would be better than the cure.
And we have to. For instance, again, I spoke to a gentleman and he just could not get his diabetes under control. So, couldn't figure it out. So I said, sit with him and his girlfriend, like our house used. I'm not a doctor, but I really wanted to figure out what was going on. And in talking to her, she's like, I don't do anything wrong, I just make him his tea. So I said, you sweeten the tea? She's like, of course I don't sweeten the tea. I know he's a diabetic. I just put a little glucose in it. So I told her, miss, that's the gun you'll be shooting the man with, because they don't understand. So it's important. Sometimes in our culture, we have a thing, you worry too much, you think too much, but sometimes what you don't know can hurt you.
Correct.
I just found out that there are several mobile apps you can download and put it against the barcode, and the ingredients
Fly up and let you know what's
so
good and what's
you
bad.
can just go to Google and ask for the best mobile apps. They have some Yuka, Trash Panda, Healthy Living, Food Switch, but if you don't remember those, just Google and you'll get some examples of some mobile apps.
And use
because the chemical names on the labels can boggle the mind of a chemistry major.
Yes.
Some people can't even pronounce them.
Yes.
And use the technology. We talk about AI and all this, but sometimes, we drive a lot going to and from work. And sometimes you can use that time. Everything is an audiobook now. Everything is a video now. YouTube is the new university. So, sometimes on that long drive, put in your headphone, do something, find a video on these things, and take that time to listen. You can multitask. While you're cleaning, you can educate yourself, because we live in the information age now. And to not have information is quite literally a crime and dangerous to us.
Well, let's be clear and be sure that you are less likely to be confused and become anxious if you buy local. It may cost you a little bit more at the point of purchase, but it will not send you to a doctor's office or worse.
On that point, though, what about pesticides and the regulation? Because I am terrified. I go and buy the organic imported tomatoes. I'm terrified of buying local tomatoes, because I saw a guy prepare a field once, and it looked like the crater and one of the craters on the moon when he finished with the chemicals that he was down there administering. And you have a lot of people just walking around and spraying. So is that monitored by your?
Well, currently we are actually, that's the first priority in my department right now, the pesticide residue analysis in water and in food. So as soon as we get that lab up and running, we're just waiting for a few more items to come our way. We already have the SOPs, the standard operating procedures necessary, and some training from my staff that we would have gone through already for that. So as soon as that happens, then we would be full throttle in making sure that we create that framework. No, we perhaps would have to liaise with the Department of Agriculture to make sure everything is streamlined and is done in a proper manner. But that is first on my priority, I could tell you that.
Wonderful, and we'll definitely have your back.
To your point about your feeling of terror in relation to the person you saw spraying tomatoes, I was thinking, how would you feel about what you don't see?
Well,
because there's some produce that don't spoil.
Yeah,
And
I've
ants
seen
and
that.
ants don't follow.
Yeah, we know honey
What do you
don't
call
spoil.
that? Armageddon?
When last have you seen weevil in flower? Is weevil, we say weevil. When last you see weevil
Well,
in
you brought up
flower?
that. Something flashed the other day about one country banning, I think it was United States joining the Europeans and others in banning the addition of potassium bromate to the flour. Potassium bromate has some, it helps I guess shelf life
The
Yes.
shelf
of
life,
the
to extend the
flour,
shelf life.
help the anti-clumping, but it has health effects.
Yes.
And the Europeans, the Canadians, the Europeans, the Australians are very
Japanese,
good
yeah.
at this. The United States is catching up. So And so this is the reason why we are part of the United Nations.
So
we
they're
yeah.
catching up. So where we at now?
Well, we are part of the United Nations, so we're supposed to be at the front
Well,
once we have the labs.
yeah.
Okay. How are we on time? I know sometimes the conversation is
Ronnie has
so
gotten
good
quiet. Ronnie
that
has
we
gotten
run
very
on.
Definitely over time. Quickly before we wrap up, though, you guys spoke about the producers finding the loopholes or finding the territories that they can send their product that they can't send.
It's called dumping.
Yes. What about the importers? The importers are also guilty of it, who goes to these companies that looks for the cheapest rice they could find, the cheapest flour they could find, that kind of thing, and also does the dumping. When does the Bureau of Standards step in, and how do they do that? Does it come from somebody reporting it, or you yourself picking it up that this might be a little shady? Packages look a little weak, something like that.
Well, Consumer Affairs normally does their monitoring and surveillance work, and then the Bureau of Standards now will come in as a technical arm if we need any data or experimentation, testing to prove and provide evidence that this is indeed the fact, and then they will be able to act accordingly.
So they act on information coming to them.
Well, the containers come to the port, right?
Yeah.
And so customs also is very integral. So they're supposed to be essentially the first line of defense in any shady.
Health also has a presence at the port.
At the port,
Yes.
yes.
And so when containers are open, anything that smells, looks suspicious, health.
So the environmental officers would go into the containers and do their due
And they know
diligence.
which areas are banned that we don't accept food
However,
from.
so many containers come in that, if you were to inspect every container centimeter by centimeter,
It would, yeah.
commerce will shut down. Right?
Definitely.
And this is why it was important with stuff like what Mr.
What I
Rollins
was saying,
spoke about with
yes.
HACCP and yeah.
What I'm saying is, okay, the dumping, right, is based on, as I said, the manufacturers, the business guys out there knows the markets, what markets this product can go to and what market this product can go to. Now, when I used to work for Coca-Cola, right, if you guys remember the red soda, we wanted to get the red soda into St. Croix, but the food dye that we were using, which was the Amaranth red food dye, wasn't acceptable in the US market. So we had to reformulate the product to use the red, I think it was the red dye
Red
FDC 40, right? Because that's what the US would accept, not the Amaranth, right? So based on these things now, if our country don't put things on a list that we banning, like, we ban Roundup, you can't get Roundup in here, and you gotta be technical. You gotta be technical on what you're banning, eh? Because you could say you ban Roundup, but you ain't ban the generic name, the generic chemical,
Glyphosate.
right? So you gotta ban glyphosate because they could just bring back the same Roundup and another name, right? But you just see in the Roundup, it might be Paraquat or some other name, right? But they ban Roundup because that's the brand name. That's the one that they know was doing the damage. But now they just shift it and bring it back under another name. So you got to ban the generic name, the scientific name per se, to prevent that from happening. So basically, they know what is not acceptable here and there. So they know they can send certain things Europe and they can send certain things in Australia.
Okay.
So what Coca-Cola does, right? If they can't get this stuff inside here, they reformulate to meet the market. And when they reformulate, their stuff must be the same everywhere around the world. So if they want to go in Europe, they got to meet the European standards. So the formulation of the product must be acceptable in Europe, and they would just do it all over. Down to the if you remember when they had the pineapple soda, then they come up with a new formula because the diagen in that wasn't acceptable in certain regions of the world.
Okay.
So that's
It
what you
wasn't
need
real
to-
pineapple. chemistry lab pineapple.
most sodas, unless they tell you
Flavored.
it's natural sodas.
Flavored pineapple. Okay, guys.
Yes.
So sad to know that we have to end today's episode. Very interesting stuff. And of course, I wanted to make a joke when he said about the Roundup. I think the new weed killers coming with the seeds in it, because when you spray it, you get more weeds than before. So, yeah, when they kill one set of weed, more come back.
Wow.
So,
Oh, that's selectivity now. That's we need to talk about that.
Natural selection,
Yeah.
biology in action.
okay, so give you guys
That's
a
how
chance to
medications
wrap up.
work. Okay,
Really?
kill that one and let them then the
And the other side come up.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you know, the stuff got to do it that probably they gotta set it up like that so that you got to keep buying it.
Yeah.
Gotta keep coming
It's a
back. for more.
possibility.
$10
Something,
trillion.
When you just like this.
something is happening. So,
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming through today and sharing this vital information with us and with the general public. Again, in studio today, we had Mr. Sheldon Rollins, HACCP coordinator, Ms. Clelia Davis, head of food safety and R&D food safety analyst. And both of them are from the Bureau of Standards. And with us again this week was Mr. Patrick Martin, former CEO, and myself.
CMO.
Yeah, that's what
It's the CEO.
CMO.
CEO sounds good.
And
all
so,
accepted.
and I am Siobhan Richards. I am the Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Health. And in leaving, I want to speak about the connections of life. And, we're saying that everything is connected. Your health is the link. And we can see from the discussion all the different areas and the different departments and people that come together to ensure that the food we eat remains safe. Thank you guys again. And thank you, of course,
Right.
Rani.
Thank you guys for coming in as usual. Looking forward to next episode next Tuesday.